Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. It is Tuesday morning and we are diving into Genesis chapter 42. So we now know that Joseph can interpret dreams, and he is now in charge of the whole food supply of Egypt as the land is going within famine. So everybody now from all countrysides are coming to Egypt in order to find food. And what we discover is it just so happens that Joseph's family are also experiencing the effects of the famine. And so they decide, Jacob decides to send all of his sons except his youngest son, Benjamin, because he's worried about what happened the last time they all went out. So he sent the other sons to go get food from Egypt. Now, when they arrive, they don't recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognizes them. So we have this really great little drama that can play out now. So the brothers don't recognize who Joseph is, and immediately when they see him, they bow down to him and honor him. So now Joseph remembers his dream from when he was a child that his brothers would bow down to him. So it's like all coming together now. And so they ask, we'd like to have, we need food. So then Joseph goes on this tirade about how they must be spies. Like, this isn't true. You guys must be spies. And they're like, no, we're honest men. We are a group of 12 brothers. However, one is with our father back home and one is no longer with us. So this is what I love about that part, is that even when they think their brother is dead, they never exclude him from their family. And we know that at some point this still touches Joseph's heart. This means something to him. He's still part of the family, even though he's no longer physically present with them. And I think that just makes us aware. I think that's the truth about any kind of relationship, how it's usually there even when it's not there. And when we think about like all the people that we've lost in the past year and everything, it's not like they're not part of the family anymore. We always include them. And so this is just a natural thing that we do, and we see that in the scripture, that Joseph, even though he's dead, is part of the family. So anyways, Joseph still stays in disguise and is like, I don't believe you, and to find out your truth, why don't you all go into prison? One of you can go back to your father's land and bring back this youngest son to prove to me that you're honest men. And what he does, he doesn't even listen or anything. At this point in time, he just puts them all in prison. It says for 3 days. Very interesting number, but we're not going to go into numerology or anything today. So 3 days, on the third day, Joseph said to them, do this and you will live, because I fear God. I think Joseph's kind of using his position a little bit, but he's doing it anyways. And he said, one of you shall stay in prison, while the rest of you go back and get this brother. And so what Joseph does is that he loads up each of the brothers with all the grain and food that they should need. And he also puts their money back in their bags. He doesn't take their money, but they don't know this. And so he sends them on the way, and he keeps Simeon. So he keeps Simeon in prison with him. So he stays true to his word. So then the brothers get home and they discover that they have all this money and the grain. And I find it interesting that at this point in time, they all are terrified now. They're like, we're going to be considered thieves. We're going to it's not going to be cool. And so I think it's interesting that even Jacob, even though he knows God's promises, he's terrified. And he's like, I will not send my youngest son. At least I know my other son is alive and in prison. So that's okay. But I can't lose two of my sons. I've already lost one. I can't lose two. And so we see this father's struggle. But it's interesting. We still see Jacob's doubt of the promise. And we remember the promise is that he would be the father of many nations and everything. And yet he still struggles with this promise. And so we actually end the chapter with Jacob going like, I can't send my son. It won't happen. But I think this is natural to anybody in their faith journeys. We have these moments where we know the promise, we know what we've been given, but it's hard for us to see where God's at work in it. We just don't see it yet. And so we start to live in fear instead of trust. That, the trust that if they prove that they're honest men by bringing a youngest son, something good's going to happen. All they know is that by the standard of society, they are now considered thieves and have the potential of being killed for their treachery. And so they trust more in the rules of society than they do in what God can do in their lives right now. Now, of course, as we move on tomorrow, we'll see how things play out a little bit differently, because eventually God breaks into every situation, and we know that happens. But for today, I think it's important for us to just recognize and maybe to give thanks to God for the family members, the friends who have gone, who have passed away, or maybe who are just far away right now, but are still close to our hearts. And we can take time and we're reminded that they're always family, they're always friends, and we're thankful and we can appreciate them no matter how near or far they are today. And so that's kind of a little extra bonus you can do today for your devotion time. So thanks for joining me, Pastor Amanda, with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion, and we'll see you tomorrow.